all through the mountains
I
there.
like Revelstoke.
Yeah, Revelstoke was cool. Revelstoke had a great vibe to it.
I played a club at Revelstoke, and we were playing music, and then during the set break, I go outside, and I see like this huge crowd, and I'm kind of making my way, like, what's going on with this huge crowd? And I make my way friend, and there was just a couple, like this young 20-something-year-old couple, just happy.
Trying to be all expensive hotels. Everybody's wearing designer clothing. We went for a hike near Banff, and we saw people wearing like Prada shoes and like Gucci jackets.
Wow, look at that fancy Banff folk. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Shiny Tones. I'm Leonard J.
I'm Jonathan Lindsay.
Oh my gosh, we are back. We actually took a week off, didn't we? We did 2 episodes that we filmed. Like, this is how it works. We don't film an episode every week. Sometimes you might have to double up. We did a double up episode, and
you're giving away our secrets.
I know.
That's the whole point of doing the double episode, was that so nobody would notice we were gone for a
super
week.
stealthy, and I just dropped the beans immediately. So you went to.
I was up through the Rockies. It was cool. Like, went up through Revelstoke that we were just talking about, which was awesome. The vibe there was so cool. And then through like Glacier National Park. Like, we stopped at Emerald Lake, which, holy smokes, that is gorgeous. But it's just nonstop mountains. You go through Lake Louise and Banff, and then went up the Icefields Parkway to Jasper, and then past Mount Robson back into BC. And like, it's just we coined a new term, I think. It's called mountain fatigue.
Mountain fatigue.
Because there's so many. It's just like one huge mountain after another. And you're just like, whoa, that one's so cool. And then you come around another corner. It's like, whoa, where did that one come from? And then after like seeing like several hundred, you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, there's another gigantic mountain.
At least you're not going through the prairies. So in Canada, we have this long stretch of the prairies where it's all flat and there's kind of nothing to look at. I don't know. Maybe I don't see the beauty in it. Maybe it's me.
Well, I was just talking to someone
going through
after this trip, and they said, don't you feel like closed in the mountains? And I was like, no, they're huge mountains already. It was like really cool. And said, no, I much prefer the prairies. And it's space, and you don't feel closed in. And I was like, but there's nothing. I
like that, like when you're the passenger on a road trip and you just kind of like look out the window and you just kind of get lost in that little space. You know that when you run out of things to talk about in the car, you're just kind of hanging out and you're just looking out and you're like getting kind of nostalgic and you're kind of playing little games in your head, like an invisible man, like just jumping between the different telephone poles and stuff. That's my favorite part of the road trip. That's when I feel most at peace.
You've got a chainsaw and you're chopping them down.
Oh, is that what you do in your head?
As a kid, yeah.
I just think I see a little man just jumping from pole to pole. All right. Okay, so what are we talking about today? What's going on in the world?
What do we got in the news? Hey, this looks really cool.
Okay.
So, Benson amplification.
Huge fan of Benson.
Yeah, I love their stuff. Yeah. So they've done a collaboration with Milkman amps.
Oh, yes. I think I saw this a little bit yesterday.
And so it's called Benson the Amp.
The Amp.
The Amp.
The Amp.
So Milkman already has been doing these little amp in a box kind of things where it's like a 50 watt or I think 100 watt kind of like power amp in a pedal sort of size thing. So you can put it on your rig as like a, instead of an amp. And now they've just collaborated with Benson. So this is based on their Chimera sort of sound and circuitry, but in a little Class D power amp in a decent sized box that you can put on your pedal board instead of using an actual amp if you chose to do that.
Very, very cool. Actually, I'm one of the early adopters of the Chimera. I have one. Yeah, it's kind of just their beefy version of the Monarch, which is their like 15 watt version. All the Chimera is just double watts and the bigger output transform. So it's like nice low end, really, really tight. It's a beautiful sounding amp. And I remember, here's a really cool thing. It's the Chimera is like the bigger version of their 15 watt Monarch, right? So I was at the way I met Chris Benson was I was at the Portland Guitar Show or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm walking in, and there's this area of like guitar amps, right? So everyone kind of has like their big 100 watt, stack, boutique stack, and they're just like all the shred, all the tapping, all the distortion, all the sustain, and it's
beautiful.
The room is just have you ever been like to NAMM and been in the drum section? Just this cacophony of just tone. Right?
I end up there and I'm like, oh no, I took a wrong turn.
The trumpets are the worst. But anyway, so I'm listening to this huge cacophony of sound, and then there's this one guitar that's just poking through everything. It's just like this really clear and articulate, and I can make out every note.
It's probably the only clean one.
Yeah, I can make out every note, every detail. And and it ended up, I walked up and it was this tiny 15-watt amp with a 112 cabinet, and that was the Monarch. And I ended up becoming friends with Chris Benson, going, because what a beautifully voiced amplifier that it could have that clarity and that cut and everything like that. And that's kind of how I got into it. So I am very excited to see how that pedals, because I think the Monarch's a great amp. I like the Chimera more, just because of it's not
more headroom and more power and more oomph.
Yeah, it's like just more low, just tighter low end, more kind of like focused in the low end.
It goes along with our preference for the more powerful tube amps.
We were talking about that the other week. We like big, powerful amplifiers. There's something about the way it all holds itself together. And what's really neat is you can be really gratuitous with the knobs. Like
gratuitous?
Like usually like you can go like.
Did they go to 11 or something?
Oh, no, it's great. No, because they have like on this one, right, you'll see if this is set up like their Chimera, there's two knobs, bass and treble. You can go to the extremes and they sound great. Like, if I'm playing.
You got treble and bass.
Yeah, treble and bass. I like if I'm on a single coil guitar, like the treble's like 9 o'clock. Bass is like way up. Oh. And then when I go switch to humbucker, I can put the treble all the way up. And it's a really nice range, and it's very usable throughout. So I'm very excited to have the reverb in there. My Chimera does not. We were just talking about that today.
Well, we'll talk about it a little more later.
Oh, yeah, so that's
hold that thought.
Speaking of Chimera, that's actually where my reverb problem kind of came from. So
this has a built-in reverb. It says it's designed by Robert Keeley.
Oh,
another friend of yours.
Another friend of mine. Another great guy. Robert Keeley, one of the nicest people you ever meet. It's like no surprise that, of the original kind of boutique guys, he's still the kind of like in the forefront of things. He's just one of the nicest, most generous. I remember back when no one was watching any of my videos, like nobody. He reached out to me, had me do a couple things, and he bought me, or he just mailed me this beautiful ribbon mic. And he said, "Hey, I think this will sound really good in your videos."
It's a little hint.
Who's this guy? Yeah, like, you're making my gear sound horrible. You're making my gear sound bad. Yours a better microphone. But yeah, really, really nice guy. So Keeley, Chris Benson, another incredibly brilliant and wonderful guy. I think this, and Milkman, which is another fantastic company. Really great tonality. So
that's pretty cool. And so it's got looks like some sort of like IR output and room control or cab simulation of some sort anyways. So you could presumably use this in a direct type application or straight to front of house or whatnot.
We're seeing this a lot more and more and more from guitar companies putting their amps or amp companies putting their amps in small enclosures with the IR outs. Tone King, right? And Friedman.
Yep, they've been doing that with their sort of little tube preamps and that sort of thing. Synergy's kind of in that. The Synergy has the IR outs now, and that new Syn 20 IR head is really cool because it's that big, but you got your slot in there for whatever preamp you want to put in. It could be a clean one, a dirty one, Bogner, diesel. Oh yeah,
it's really cool.
Fender,
it's a really great system.
And then IR's right out of there, so it's pretty cool.
Do you think maybe because of the proliferation, you like that word proliferation of?
It's a beautiful word.
I don't even know if it's the right word in the context. The proliferation of digital technology, people getting more into going direct to the computer, people going more into helixes, and is this kind of the now going to be the evolution of the guitar amp? No one's going to be buying, the big things. It's going to be all these kind of portable preamps.
It's certainly going that way. I mean, it's practical, so practical if you're having to basically carry your gear. That's the thing. Everybody's look at that wood paneled one. Everybody's like
I know, great. I have that. It's beautiful.
Everybody's getting older and getting lazier, I think, and nobody wants to carry like 100-watt heads and 412 cabs and all that. And
remember the bass player like back in the day, pre-Mark bass, when you'd have like these
like a big fridge,
freaking fridge. And they'd have a rack unit and stuff. Oh man, it was brutal. And then we're like complaining about our little 18 watt.
I know.
amplifiers. But it's a thing because the Class D power thing, like Mark Bass is the first one that really, I think about Quilter and Mark Bass.
Yep.
These super high
early adopters of that for sure.
Power amp. And now it's like, now people are just getting really beautiful sounding preamps.
Yeah.
You're losing the power amp sound though. There's something about the tube power amp that
I guess that's the trade-off, right?
The sizzle. The power amp. But wow, wonderful stuff. I can't wait to try that. That is awesome.
Yeah, that seems super cool.
And the little wood on the corner. Like that feels like you're getting
classy.
how much is that thing going for?
In Canada, it's just over $1,200.
Oh, there you go. Take it to the bank, and then you could still plug it into a real speaker cab. Again, I do say I did some comparisons with the Tone King pedal.
The Imperial preamp.
The Imperial preamp going into the amp, and then my actual... I have the same amp, only the actual amp, into the same cabinet. And there is a difference. The preamps are pretty spot on, but you'd be surprised how much of the color is in that power amp. And you can try to model it, but it's going to be different. It more headroom.
Oh, okay.
More clarity. It seems cleaner, but you do lose a little bit. You lose some of that weird harmonics and the hair, and then, that kind of more kind of looseness and push and pull. You lose a little bit of that.
Right.
So
I found the preamp to be like very perfect sounding.
Incredibly.
Like it's like weirdly perfect. You're playing through and you're like, why does it sound this
sounds
good?
nice, right?
Like it's too nice. There's something you plug into the actual amp and you're like, okay,
there's hair.
There's something you got to fight with a little bit.
Exactly. I think the power amp's kind of what makes it brings. I think it brings the character. It brings the stuff that technically might be imperfect, like the weird harmonics on top and all that stuff. But it for me, that's the chef's kiss. Is the secret ingredient. Right.
Well, it's an interesting thing too, and I mean, I've been talking about this with the Imperial preamp, which is fantastic. And I had a chance to try out the new Helix Stadium XL a couple weeks ago, which is not out yet, but I got to play with that for a little bit. And it's cool. It's this cool supercomputer. But what I find, because I'm so used to playing into an amp, like a tube amp that's right there, and I play, and that sound comes right back to me, and that push and pull and that response of the tube amp. With all these products now that have these direct outs and the IRs and stuff like that, like the Helix or this, even the Imperial preamp, the sound that you get out of this, it's not just the amp that they're modeling though, right? Because you're getting the amp that's being modeled, you're getting the speaker cabinet that's being modeled, you're getting microphones on there that are being modeled, and then some of them, like the Imperial preamp, also goes through a channel strip model. So you're hearing the sound that comes out of the PA or out of whatever, FR cab. It's not just the sound of that amp. It's actually the sound of like it's like a recorded guitar sound, like as if you were sitting in the studio and you're hearing the playback of what you recorded through, the mics and the cab and the room and then the, whatever Neve console that you're plugged into. And so it's a little different thing than if you just plug into the amp right there.
Yeah. That's for us old heads. Like I
must be old.
The first time I
just want to plug into an amp.
Yeah, when you first hear digital modeling, you're like, "Whoa, this doesn't sound anything like a real guitar amp." And the reason why is because we hear what our ears hear in the room, and usually the amp's on the floor, so we're not hearing the high end. We're hearing lots of lows and the room sound,
plenty of mids,
right? And then when you actually hear the modeling amp, you're hearing, microphones. You're hearing the placement, and it makes the amp sound completely different. Now I think we're a little bit more used to it or educated now that we're kind of, there's the technology so around. But, man, I do like plugging in, being loud. No, why? Because I don't have to deal with the trebles that the audience have to deal with.
Everybody else does, just not you, because you're standing right by the amp.
Fantastic. All right. That thing's out. The Helix Stadium's out already, eh?
No,
not yet.
No, it's coming. When did they say? It's going to be in November.
November, yeah.
So it's coming. It's within the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Really clean. Yeah. I was there at the.
It's
launch
cool
event.
though. It's cool.
It's great. Yeah. I didn't have too much time with it. I only had maybe 15 minutes because I was part of the launch. So there was like all the people kind of waiting, and you kind of had to have like a little card, like your time slot to try it. And like when you got it was like so basic, like they weren't, showing off everything. But yeah, it did sound pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I love the screen on it. It's awesome.
Dope.
It's worth it just for that.
Oh, come on.
All right, let's move on. There's a couple new pedals that came out. One for you, one for me.
Ooh.
Let's start with the one for you.
Okay.
Orange Pedals has a new compressor out
called
the King Comp.
Oh, that's a great name. King Comp. And it's a VCA compressor. Fantastic.
Yeah,
we were talking about different kinds of compressors. We were doing
yeah.
VCA compressors. That is kind of like the, like if you look at a channel strip, like the classic channel strip, that's the VCA compressor. There's so many different types of ways to compress your sound. I think the VCA is probably the like really clean and really clear, and it has a great, like really great fast attack and everything like that. Not the most amount of color. Awesome. Look at that. We got all the candy on it, eh? Let's see what we have here. Low noise. We got release and attack. Comp is that ratio or is that like threshold? Probably threshold.
Yeah, they've kind of like used acronyms on the controls, so you don't know what any of them do.
That's probably just a threshold knob. They're usually, like the old DBX ones, 160s is on. If that's kind of like what they're going for.
Well, they're certainly describing it as like a studio type compressor. They're not really giving away too much in terms of what it's based on. But pro level studio sound, and all that, and it's got your favorite feature on there. Go back up to the picture there. It's got the rail.
Oh, the rail! Okay.
The safety rail.
We talk about this all the time. My favorite thing to put on a pedal is that little door hinge, that little cabinet hinge, because it protects the knobs from your feet. Okay? And you can get your foot. No. When you're in the heat of battle and you got to get your King Comp on quick, at least you know your side, especially with compressors, because they can be quite touchy. When you get your settings in there. So.
That is true. If you just move one of those knobs a tiny bit, it's not going to do what it was doing.
J stamp of approval. I don't even care if it sounds horrible. The fact that it has that little rail there,
that's cool.
I'm sold.
And it's got a gigantic gorilla for graphics, so we love that.
One of my favorite guitar pedal compressors, the one that I use actually probably the most is a Robert Keeley Compressor Pro, and that's a VCA compressor.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I'm always
it's great.
Kind of daunted by that one. There's too many knobs on it.
Well, there's an auto mode. So you can
perfect.
do auto, and it does the attack and release for you.
Lovely.
That one. I remember. When I was doing my album, I brought like all my compressors, and we were trying different compressors, and that was always the one that's like, okay, that's the one we're going to use to put in front of the amplifier.
I got to spend some time with compressors.
Oh, it's good, buddy. So that one was for me.
There you go. All right.
That's for me.
Now we got a pedal for me.
Okay.
And this is also from Keeley.
Oh, okay.
So there's a new Keeley phaser called the Waxa. It's funny when I was Googling this too. What actually comes up is the Oaxaca phaser.
Oaxaca?
But it's not Oaxaca. It's Waxa.
Whoa.
Anyways, it's a dual phaser, I think. 2 independent modulation engines. So you can have 2 phasers. Check it out.
Hey guys, what's going on over here?
Buddy. Look at that. I like your
phasers.
coffee and pedals.
Yeah, it's fun.
We got
Get that mug out of here.
I like this.
Pedals, and you guys are on a big shiny tones.
Yeah, well, Coffee and Pedals is a little segment they have here at Tapestry Music.
Say hi,
if you haven't watched.
Hey everybody. Looks like these guys are horning in on my racket.
Yeah, we're getting on the pedals. Yeah, check out their show, Coffee and Pedals. It's on Tapestry Music YouTube there with Josh and Matt.
Yeah, you gotta get one of these things on the. Are you gonna get one of these in the shop?
Yeah, dude.
I'm sure we will. Although it says custom shop, so I don't know if that's direct only.
Web exclusive. Buddy. There it is.
I guess we won't then.
Come on, man.
Don't
I'm getting all excited about
Wait. Do you use phasers? Do you like phasers?
Hell yeah, I love
You like a
phasers,
phaser?
man.
What's your go-to phaser?
I got the Bad Stone. I got EHX going on right now.
I like EHX. I love EHX.
They're just so utilitarian, man. What more could you possibly
It gets the job done. Is it ostentatiously large, or is it like one of the new ones?
I think
Like
it's a
that's
new
like
one,
pretty and like it's actually in an enclosure.
Yeah, no, I think it's just one of the standard pedal sized utilitarian.
Oh, okay.
They're
the
pretty
old
small.
The old stamp metal. And it has like one knob in it, and you open it up, and there's like a tiny circuit board like this big.
And it comes in the wooden box too.
I want that. That's the one you want.
Pretty old school.
You know what? This one's look. We've got 10-stage, 4-stage, or Univibe mode. 10 stages of phasering in a dual. Do you have like the timings are like going against each other?
I don't know. Wouldn't that like cancel each other out?
That's what I'm thinking. Is it just absolute, or is it switching between? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't.
Is that like a big old LED light on there as well. I mean, that looks like it's gonna make some crazy.
Yeah.
I know the light looks cool. It's like an amp jewel.
Yeah.
Oh, that is tight.
That's pretty cool. I was fine with phasers though. The more stages, kind of the less interesting it sounds.
Yeah, there's a point where you're like, okay, cool. It's just kind of like a number now.
Like the classic like 4-stage phaser is kind of the phaser that most people want.
4-stage phaser.
Anyways, cool looking pedal.
I like their new enclosures. All the Keeleys slowly move. They're building their enclosures in house. I like it when companies take that little extra step. It's like, because I know as much as we like the old Hammond things, again, like this is me going back to the electro-harmonics thing, right? Like when you see something just a little bit different, it makes it more special, and it makes it feel like you give it a little bit of a different. Like I'm looking at those. What's that? The Thorpe or what are those?
Yeah, Thorpe.
When you look
they're very unique.
When you look at something like that, you're like, okay, like this is $300. Like I can spend $300 on that.
Whereas those feel like it too. You hold it. It's like, hefty.
Crazy. It's
hefty.
Beautiful. I like a big enclosure. We talk about this all the time. Big enclosures.
The bigger the better.
Bigger the better. I want my pedal board to be this big, and I want there to be like 4 pedals and a tuner.
And somebody else to carry it for you.
And someone else to carry it for me. Yeah, to go with my modeling rig.
There you go. All right, Gibson.
Okay.
We got to talk about Gibson again. So have you seen this? They got the Back to the Future ES 345
they did
collection.
They did it. Okay.
They still haven't found it though. So they started I think it was about a year ago. They put out a reward or something like that.
Yes, I saw that.
So they want to find
that,
the actual guitar that was used in Back to the Future, which was an ES 345. And of course, the funny thing about it is that the year that the movie supposedly takes place, like back in that time, 1955, that guitar didn't even exist yet. So that was a little oversight on the,
Wait, if I remember,
the props team at the time.
Isn't like maybe I am colorblind, so this might be me being wrong. But I remember in the movie, like, didn't it have mismatched hardware? Like some of it was nickel and some of it was gold. Right? Look at the pictures. Look up Marty McFly, because in my head, when I watched that movie, I was like, oh, wait a minute, the hardware doesn't match. And I thought it was like a hodgepodge of, am I wrong here? Or is it just worn? Are those pickups
kind of worn? I don't know. It looks like it was probably gold. Hard to tell.
Gold?
I haven't seen the movie in a very long time.
That's hard. Again, I'm very, very colorblind. But maybe it was like watching the movie that maybe I don't know.
And to be honest, the guitar in this scene was like kind of my least favorite part of the movie.
Really?
I want to see the DeLorean and the time travel and the future
does
stuff
it come with it? Well, I was looking at, was it $19,000 for the?
It's $20,000.
So it better come with a freaking DeLorean. Look at that, $20,000 for a 1955 in quotation marks.
Well, and you used to be able to buy a DeLorean for far less money than that.
I know.
There was a while where nobody wanted them. They're probably worth tons of money now.
I have a friend that's into DeLorean restoration, so he has he's been like
cool. There you go.
turning his DeLorean into a DeLorean. It's kind of
nice.
That I love the Heritage Cherry or whatever cherry they call it. Oh, even it says Hill Valley Music. Oh, so it's a plate from a pretend music store in Hill Valley.
It's cute. It's cute. I don't know, $20,000. Like,
that's they better have a plate.
So they did an Epiphone version as well. That's a lot.
We're the robot tuners on this thing.
Yeah, no robot tuners.
Oh, look, even the case. Look at the case. That is so funny. Look at that. That's pretty. You got to really like that movie.
You got to be a super fan.
There's your flux capacitor in there.
All right, that's fun.
And there was the battery pack for the flux capacitor, and there's an abort button. Oh, that's the robot tuner.
That's cool. I'm still not paying $20,000 for it, but
yeah, that's a lot of. Oh, and look at all that they put love into this.
Yeah, you get all the collector stuff for that kind of money.
They better. I wonder if they're doing some kind of like Back to the Future, like putting it back in the theater,
like a reboot or something.
Because it seems like this is like promo for something they're working on.
Yeah, totally. Ooh, the watch is cool. The Casio is cool.
You think they could have put a little Back to the Future logo on that one?
Well, that's probably like the actual like style watch that he used in the movie. I'm guessing that's really cool.
That and then a little, that is. I'm gonna give him props. That has all the stuff.
There's a lot of cool details. That's for sure.
We love it. And that's a cool guitar too. Like we did
345 school. I love the parallelogram inlays.
Oh, that's come awesome. On. Absolutely.
It's great.
We did a video for my page on our last episode of Shop Talk. We were trying to pick the absolute most iconic and best Gibson model.
And we found it.
And it was the 3 series, the ES 335, 345, 350. That was the one. And like that in my head, when I think of that guitar, that's the color and gold hardware. That's the one I want. So I think it's cool. Is it 20,000? Would you rather just get a custom shop red?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right.
There's way too many of these. Like,
well, you could get the mini guitar.
You could get the mini one. I think there's way too many of these like limited collector run. They're either like, like a signature guitar for an artist, or like for something like this that they're charging like insane amounts of money for. 15, 20 grand. They only make 100 of them. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, who's buying this?
Who's buying this? Exactly.
Who's buying this? It reminds you of like
people with too much money.
Well, it's kind of like the watch industry. That's like the big thing about like getting custom. It's like all these limited editions, and like, oh, this is a remake of the watch, the Top Gun watch that Tom Cruise wore in Top Gun, and they'll do this. Oh, this is like the reissue of the the watch, the JLC Reverso that Christian Bale wore, and they kind of do an anniversary thing, and it's like a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 watch, and it's like. Awesome.
That's a lot of money.
Actually, but then again, it sells a lot of money. Like the No Time to Die James Bond Omega watch. Actually, all those James Bond custom watches, they go for like so. How much is a No Time to Die? Like, let's see, a No Time to Die Omega watch. How much is it?
Place your bets.
I'm gonna say it's, I don't know, all the 14 Canadian, right? That is No, it's a pretty
more.
watch though. I was expecting more too, actually.
Okay.
But
well,
they do.
should we both get one?
You know what? If you do it, I'll do it. No, I don't know. I'm okay.
I don't think the show has that kind of budget yet.
But they have, like every time there's a new Bond movie, there's a limited edition $20,000, $10,000 watch that comes out, and I guess there's people that like that, kind of like if you're, especially a lot of us grew up watching Back to the Future. You want the little.
Yeah. Well, hey, here's a question for you.
Okay.
So as a guitar player and watches, so we can actually tie this back to guitars. Yeah. I see you're wearing a watch right now. Do you play guitar with a watch on?
I do.
You do?
I do. I have to be careful about what watches I wear. Like there's some watches that are really kind of chunky and heavy, but even then, I don't know. I always like wearing a watch, especially when you're playing a gig and you're kind of playing and you want to know how many minutes are left in your set. Kind of whole, you kind of put it in backwards. But I don't know. I absolutely love wearing a watch when I play.
I don't wear a watch too often, and if in times when I would wear a watch, I've found that I would often take it off when I was playing guitar. I don't know, like I've got pretty like skinny little wrists, and I just found like having the weight of it on there bugged me a little bit for playing guitar. So
there's
it's a curious thing.
You're gonna send me down a rabbit hole because I'm actually really into watches. So, but yeah, I usually when it comes to playing games with watches, it depends. I'm picky about certain kind of watches.
I'm always curious, like because I'll see guitar players like that have like maybe like a really big watch and then lots of like big jewelry too, and I'm just like, how do you?
I was watching the World Series. I'm watching the World Series, right?
Like slow you down.
Is it Mookie Betts? He has this like look up Mookie Betts Dodgers World Series. If you look at it, I think it's him. He has this chain, this necklace, right there. Okay, that's like thicker than my bike lock. All right, and he's like,
doesn't look that big.
Oh no, who is it? It gets bigger, bro.
Oh,
There's like all these people have these like giant. I remember there's this one. Who was it? He was running, and he had this diamond chain, and the chain broke when he was trying to like get to base, and like the whole like all the ref and everyone are like picking up diamonds from the.
Like this.
But look at that freaking chain, man. That thing,
20 grand.
That's solid gold. Do you think that's hollow ass gold? That is solid gold. Do you know
it must
how
be
heavy that thing must be? You know what he probably does though when he's like trying to steal a base, he just kind of like flips his neck out, and then the weight of the necklace will just project him.
Yeah, he's flying through the air.
But that is a beefy, like, can you imagine playing baseball, and playing a sport with like a big ass, heavy, solid
that's odd
gold
to me.
chain.
I don't know. I feel like you'd want to have as least amount of like excess weight on you.
I guess so. You really, I know. I've never really, there's certain times where you notice like if a watch, it's usually about how balanced the watch is. Like if you have a watch with weird balance, it's always kind of like flipping your arm.
Yeah,
it's like really tall
exactly.
watches that have like are really top heavy. But no, you get it on.
It's got to be a light one, like a Casio.
Like a cat, like the Casio that comes with the Back to the Future Gibson. There you go.
And it's not going to be that expensive either.
It's gonna be
all right, cool. Let's.
It's actually $20,000. $20,000 Casio.
Well, comes with a free Gibson guitar.
It comes
though.
with a guitar, but it's a $20,000 watch.
All right, let's move on to today's opinion piece. Here.
Okay, all right.
The unpopular opinion.
Unpopular. We were talking about
and we're going to talk about reverb today.
We are talking about reverb.
And this is sort of a multitude of opinions on here, but the debate point here is, should the reverb be in front of the amp or in the back of the amp?
Yes. So what we're saying is, when you have a reverb pedal, right? Usually when you have reverb in an amp, it's after the preamp of your amp, right between the power amp. So it's kind of there. And so usually when people buy a reverb pedal, they'll put it in the effects loop of an amplifier.
If it has one.
If it has an effects loop,
Yeah.
right? Or you can put it in the front end of it. So there's a plus and a minus. What are the pluses and minuses of having a reverb in the front and in the back?
Because this is an interesting topic, because people will go different ways. And I feel like, depending on the results that you want, there may not be actually necessarily a definitive right and wrong. It kind of depends.
So what happens is, if you have it, say, in the effects loop of an amp, that means, like, say you're running your preamp, really, you're going full Marshall, full distortion, right? All that distortion is happening, and then after you create that distortion, it goes to the reverb. So that reverb is going to be kind of nice and clear. It's going to be a nice, it's going to just reverberate that distortion sound, right? If you have that in the effects loop, that's how you're going to get the nice full frequency, perfect clarity. Now, if you put it in the front of a distorted amp, what's going to happen is your guitar is going to get reverby. You're going to have the reverb, but then you're going to put it into the distortion. That means your reverb is going to start to distort as well. So what ends up happening is your sound turns into this like stew of reverb. Like you lose since it's being compressed, it's being squashed, it's being this, and the reverb is now part of your guitar sound. It's like glued in.
Yep.
So what do you like better?
So me, I've definitely got a preference that I always want it in the effects loop.
In the effects.
If I've got an amp with an effects
Boring.
loop, I always want it there. That's exactly how I want it to be. I want my reverb to be boring. I want it to sound I want it to sound clean.
Yeah.
I want it to sound pure.
Yes.
Usually my choice of a reverb is probably going to be a hall reverb too.
Okay.
A digital hall reverb.
A stereo, like full range.
Probably not, but that would be cool. A stereo setup would be very cool.
Yeah.
But just that clean, clear hall reverb, especially if I'm getting my gain from the preamp of the amplifier. For me, that's like it has to be there. And if you've got an amp, I think, where there's no effects loop, but it's a gainy, like a vintage style Marshall, that's a real conundrum, because if you put that reverb in front of that amp and you're distorting that amp, it's going to sound pretty nasty, especially if you're doing like rock licks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty nasty, but there's no effects loop. So what are you going to do? And that's something that they started doing down the road, was they'd do like a reissue of, like a JMP or something like that. Like, I think like the 1987X, originally that never had an effects loop, but you get like the reissue one, and now they've added an effects loop, and people get divided over that, because like, well, you're changing the sound of the amp. And I know famously Mike Soldano hated effects loops. And so his SLO 100, which is this massive fire breathing,
great freaking amp,
killer hard rock amp, that thing, he never wanted to have an effects loop in it. And now the current version of it does have an effects loop. He was eventually like convinced to do it, I think just because of popular opinion, just to quote our show there. But people wanted that, so he finally gave and said, all right, we'll do it. And he made the best one that he possibly could for it. But he was one of those guys that just said, this amp is not intended to have an effects loop. It doesn't sound as good that way. But then that leaves you in this thing where basically, you have to have this massive setup.
Yes.
Where you've got to have like the whole thing is basically on stage and mic'd, and then you're sending that mic sound into like some rack processors. And so all the guys from like the 80s and the 90s would have these insane,
massive,
huge rigs, so that they could get those sort of tones, because you'd have all this your high gain amp and your guitar, and then you'd have all this post processing before it goes to the board, and it's pretty massive. It's like you got a studio on stage, which is not the easiest thing to set up.
But so you would go. How about this way? Would you buy a high gain amplifier like those Soldanos? Would you buy one of those without an effects loop?
Ooh,
because those are great sounding amplifiers, and you always put your reverbs in the effects loop, and you're a guy that likes his reverb.
Yeah,
well, even more so delay actually. Delay is, if I had to pick one, I would pick delay for sure. But same boat that you're in. It's for me, it's got to be, if you're getting preamp gain, it's got to be after the amp. So in the hypothetical situation where, say, I got a vintage Soldano SLO 100, which would be very cool, not in the budget right now, but I would probably do some sort of, like use an attenuator or like a, some sort of like one of those Fryette, power rigs there that has an effects loop in it. So it's basically doing all that post processing, but compact sort of.
And that
package.
way you can still get your clean reverb and stuff.
Exactly.
I wonder how Soldano would feel about that. I don't know.
Oh, I think he'd be fine with that.
So this is my take on this. Okay,
but I know you've got a different take.
I put my reverbs in front of the amplifier for a couple of reasons. Okay, so you get when I want. Okay, if you're gonna get a clear, pristine thing, there's two places where you're playing guitar, right? You're either playing it in a venue, and you're either playing it in a studio, right? If I'm playing my guitar in a studio, yeah, or at home. I
think it's where most of us are playing.
Yeah, okay. Or at home, all right. Okay, so what you're gonna do is like, say I'm playing it in the studio, right? Like if I'm playing my guitar in the studio, I don't want my reverb to be, like the reverb in the studio is gonna be better than the reverb I'm gonna ever buy.
That's true.
I'm never going to get a better sounding reverb than the reverb in the studio. So it's better if I want a clear, full, wonderful, wide reverb sound, I'm going to use that.
Yes.
Right? So
I fully agree with you.
Right. There. And then when I'm playing in a venue, I'm playing live in a venue, the room I'm in has reverb. It's going to echo and it's going to bell and it's going to be, it's going to bounce off the walls and create that sound. And if it isn't, when I have clear, I find that clear echo too. It's like, if I'm playing, say, an arena or something like that, it's so wide and boomy in the arena that if I add reverb on it, it's actually going to sound horrible because I'm going to lose all my definition, right?
Yeah, totally.
So in my head, reverb is an effect, and it is, and I want it to push and pull. So I like the fact that when I have a reverb in front of the amplifier, it compresses with the amp, and it moves with the amp, and it changes with the amp, and it creates a overall atmosphere. If you ever put a spring reverb and put it in the effects loop, it never sounds right. It doesn't sound surfy. It doesn't sound like it doesn't have that classic kind of like, outboard reverb sound, because a lot of that sound is that amp pushing the power amp and the effect of it. And then what I like to do is I'll just manually, get an expression pedal or something with the mix. Fancy. And then when I have the amp on a cleaner side, then I'll back it up. And then when I'm getting distorted, it changes. And I like the fact that the reverb changes with my attack. It changes with how I'm pushing the amplifier. And now the reverb becomes an active participant in the tone. It's never just sitting there, and it's just what you see is what you get, and it's just never changing. And it's like, just sounds like, oh, my guitar amp's in a hallway. It sounds like something that's just a breathing organism that I could swell in and swell out. And then when it gets to the peak where it's like really getting there, it's complete. It's glued in with my amp, and I can and it just sounds like one beautiful pulsating thing. It doesn't get away from me.
That's quite the reverb you got going on there.
It also goes. I think it also goes with what kind of reverb sound you're going for. Like obviously,
totally.
A hall. If I was a hall reverb, something like that, then yeah, I think it would sound better. But if we're doing, for me, I like spring reverbs.
Yeah, if it's surf, I mean, that's all. of very specific
No,
sort
even
of thing.
plate. I like the plate sound.
Yeah, plates are nice
because there's a big there's a gap, a pre-delay between it. So actually, it does lend itself to creating space, even when I have it in front of the amp. Then again, you have to be really, really careful. And you have to be really, really careful what you're doing with your amplifier and your reverb. But
you can definitely get too much reverb in a hurry. Yep. And that's an interesting point about performing live with the reverb, because the room has reverb. Of course, the bigger the room, the more reverb there is. And I think a mistake that a lot of guitar players do is they dial in like a big, beautiful reverb tone when they're at home practicing, or in a rehearsal studio, which is a very small, very dry room. And then you get to the gig and you get you're sort of drowning because you got your reverb, and then there's the reverb of the place. And especially if it's like a local show and, it's kind of empty, there's only like 20 people or something, there's going to be a lot of reverb. And so you end up with a lot of muddy guitar tones live.
And you can't hear yourself.
And that too. And I started using a lot less reverb or no reverb at all quite a few years ago. And it was actually reading a bit. It was an interview with Guthrie Govan, one of my favorite guitar players. And he said that he stopped using reverb altogether on these tours because it just sounded, there's already too much reverb in the venues.
I am completely in that camp.
And so the definition is all gone and all that. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I should try that. And started turning off my reverb and playing live. And I was like, oh yeah, this is
way better.
It's way better. Like if you're just at home and you're practicing, with no reverb, it might seem dry. But when you get to the venue and you're performing, it's a whole different can of beans.
Your tone is better. My secret, instead of, if you're playing live a lot and you really want your solos to kick out, I actually think a slap back delay does a way better job than a reverb does.
Yep.
Way better. Yep. Because you still get definition and you get a sense of space. But yeah, one thing I also realize about a reverb at the end, I find that when I have it at the end, I'm always turning it up more and more and more. Like I overdo it because it's so gelled in and so in the background, and I'm listening to it in the room. It's blending in with the room reverb, and it all kind of sounds the same to me. And then before you know it, I have too much. Whereas with it in the front, I'm a lot more delicate with it. And if you ever say you're jamming at home, okay, with your backing tracks, your YouTube backing tracks.
Oh, fun.
Experiment with, and have you ever done it? I don't know if you're trying to do your solo and it just doesn't, it sounds so naked. It doesn't really fit in the backing track. It doesn't really sound good. Experiment with putting the reverb in the front of your rig, and you'll find that your solo sounds a little bit more rich. Sounds a little bit more full because
probably gels a lot quicker.
It fattens your sound because it is distorting, because it is being compressed. Your sound is automatically fatter. When you have it afterwards, it's not compressing, so it just disappears into the ether, and it just sounds washy when you're playing it in the context of a band. Have it in the front, it sounds like just a bigger version of your guitar.
Wow,
I don't know.
I think we can all we all want that.
Who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want a bigger version of your guitar? Oh. That sounds awesome.
That was a pretty good one. That's a good conversation.
There we go. Pro tone tips there. Different ways to try your reverb.
How do you do it? If you have an unpopular opinion, write it in the comment section below. We love debating these kind of things, and we like going to weeds. We all learn something that way. And try to convince us of yours, or we'll just duke it out and see which one we come up with.
Yeah, I don't know if we don't have a solid answer on that one, but I think it just depends on what you're going for. So let us know in the comments. How do you use your reverb? Is it in the front? Is it in the back? No reverb at all? I don't know.
Put it right in the front. Right in the front. All right. So
cool.
Now it brings us to our last segment, right? This is
Rigs on Trial.
We're going to be analyzing different rigs, kind of giving it a look. I love this because it's kind of like show and tell with our viewers.
It is, totally.
And if you have a cool rig, a guitar, an amp, pedal board setup, send it to, if you're on Instagram, send us a picture, hashtag, or no, sorry, at Tapestry Music Store, hashtag Big Shiny Tones.
Yep, or hashtag Rigs on Trial, or you can send us a direct message to Tapestry Music Store. And if you're not on Instagram, you still want to send it to us, just shoot us a message on YouTube or however, and we'll make sure that we get that from you. So we got one today sent in from Robert Scott on Instagram. And wow,
I like this.
I'm seeing double here.
Actually, Robert Scott used to live in my apartment complex. Like back in the day before I moved out in my own place, I lived in an apartment. We actually we became friends. I think he just heard me like loudly noodling one day. I don't know how we ended up becoming close friends.
He's like, turn down that racket.
And he's always been such a cool guy. He's one of the nicest people you'll meet. Robert Scott, 1969, obviously is your real God-given name. But anyway, this is a really crazy rig. We got, 2 Marshalls.
And 2 Firebirds.
2 Firebirds.
I know he's big into Firebirds.
Oh,
and there's 2 great examples there. And we got a pair of Marshalls. Those are the 1974X.
Yeah, so that would be 18 watts.
18 watter.
No reverb.
No reverb.
No effects loop.
No effects loop. There we go.
I like that. Is that red or is that orange?
It's red. Yeah, I've seen that one before. It's sort of it's not like a hard red. It's kind of a bit of an orange to it, but and then the classic black one there. But those are cool.
Yeah, we usually see it when we see it like live, but this one we had to do some detective work because that pedal board is just hidden in the corner there. Like we had to do some like
cool stuff on there.
Heavy sleuthing here. But we got 2 Firebirds. We got what did we decide? That's a Union transistor compressor.
Yeah. So first we got obviously the little TC Polytune Mini.
Mini tune, yeah.
Fantastic little tuner there, and even though it's a mini pedal, I think that's if you're going to have a mini pedal, the tuner's going to be the mini pedal to have. Yeah. But then we got Union tube and transistor lab compressor.
I've never
Local
played
boys.
that one.
Oh, you haven't?
Yeah, I know I haven't.
It's beautiful.
It's like sacrilegious. I live in Vancouver. They're one of the coolest Vancouver pedal companies.
They're made just up the road here
I know.
on Main Street.
What am I doing, man? I got to try
But,
that. Is it like an
XL.
optical? Is it an optical tremolo?
I'm trying to remember. It is a, I think it's sort of like more like a console, like a Neve console sort of.
So like a VCA-ish kind of thing.
I think so, but it's beautiful. I've played that one before. You basically just put the 2 knobs in the center, and you're probably never going to turn it off.
Perfect, yeah. And then, of course, the iconic Marshall Blues Breaker. I wonder if that's an original one. Those are great pedals.
Yeah, that's cool. They did reissue them a couple of years ago, so they are around now.
You know what's good about them?
It's interesting that Marshall Blues Breaker going into a couple
two Marshalls
Blues Breaker-y kind of amps.
Luckily, that amp is that pedal is luckily quite what the word transparent. You actually do some pedals hide your guitar. They take over. Some pedals kind of add to your sound, and luckily the Blues Breaker do add. But there's definitely a Marshall theme. Look how it's so big that it's sticking out of the pedal board.
Yeah,
look at that. I love that.
Because even the reissues, they made them the same. It's got like the step top and
I love it.
The angled bottom.
See, if you can't get the handlebar, you can't get the little bar, you get the stepped up. See how that creates a wall there?
It does. It definitely does.
God, that's awesome.
I like that design. That's cool. And that pedal, that was sort of forgotten about by time for a long, long time. Yeah. And it was it John Mayer that really brought that one back?
I think so. Probably.
I think it was John Mayer. Yeah.
Was it the King of Tone? That's based on the.
I believe so. Yeah.
That was the first time I heard. I got hip to that. It was reading Analog Man, and then King of Tone became such a big pedal, and it was kind of a take on the Blues Breaker, if I remember. Oh no, isn't the Keeley pedal is a take on the Blues Breaker? And the Morning Glory, the JHS Morning Glory is
that one's Blues Breaker. Yeah, and there's been a whole slew of them
many,
since. Like most boutique companies have done.
Not a lot of gain. Not a lot of gain.
No, it's quite nice.
It's very polite pedal, just enough to get those 18 watts cooking. And we got an ABY. This is our guess here. We think that's an ABY box.
Yeah, and that's from what are they called? Surfy Bear Industries.
Surfy Bear, yeah.
And it's an ABY splitter because what he's got going on here, apparently, this is a wet dry rig.
Oh, of course.
Which would be very cool. So you got the reverb just going into one of those amps. We don't know which one, but and then the other one's just getting the dry tone. And I gotta say, that's something I haven't really experimented with. And someone was telling me recently, one of my friends said, "You've got to try this. This is so cool." And I haven't got around to trying it.
It's enveloping. It's wonderful. You know what I like to do? I like to put my reverbs in one and then my delays in another, and then just. Ooh.
I would like that because I like my reverb and delay if I'm using both to be in parallel because I find otherwise they muddy each other up.
Exactly.
You know, delays going to the reverb. Now I don't hear the delay like I want to hear it, and you end up turning things up too much again, like we're just saying there.
Going more and more and more.
So
and
if it's parallel, at least it's processed separately, and then
there's so many options
there.
when you're going.
The wet dry thing seems like it could be cool.
Ooh, it's intense. And then we got some. We got the. I believe that's the Rocket Audio. What's it? Boing. I like it. It's one knob.
Yeah, it's cool.
Done.
It's a spring reverb and plus, not only is it one knob, it's one gigantic knob.
Oh, it's the best knob.
Because that's a relatively small pedal.
Remember I talked about how I like to play with the knob, manual. You just kind of twist
one
your foot.
You could do it with your foot.
So you
for
don't
sure.
need that. You don't need the little bar. You don't need the bar for that one. You could.
No, that one you could toggle that with your foot. Looks like it's probably a power supply.
Yeah, I think maybe the MXR one.
Yeah, like the ISO brick or something like big silver box.
Or just something to put his picks in.
There you go.
World's biggest Altoids.
Pick tin on your board there.
Yeah.
And then let's see, going across, there's a delay. That's also J-Rock. It's called the Immortal Echo, I believe.
I haven't played that one.
I haven't tried that one either. It's one of their smaller series pedals, kind of mini pedals. And continuing the J-Rocket theme, we've got the Mr. Moto on the end.
Oh man,
I think that one's kind of like a deluxe reverb sort of in a box. I think it's like tremolo and reverb, something like that.
Wow, so he's doubling down on that. I know he's a big Stones fan, so you could get some pretty cool like Exile on Main Street-y kind of stuff out of that little thing. Beautiful. So pretty much this whole like time-based section is sponsored by J-Rocket then.
Yeah, lots of J-Rocket pedals on there.
Really cool. Now,
which is cool.
And the big coily cable.
I know, we got to do a shout out to the coily cable. Are you a coily cable guy?
Okay, so it really depends on what the sound, because that coily cable is going to darken up your tone.
Well, it depends too, because these days you can buy coily cables that are both ways. Traditionally, you're right, the coily cables had massive top end roll off on them, and so it was very dark sound, but kind of in a cool way, depending on your guitar and depending on your amp and all that. So you could use that coily cable, the top end just disappears. and some guitar players too, I remember hearing quotes from a few famous guitar players playing the 60s and 70s, and they wanted really long chords, like 50-foot long chords, because they wanted that extra capacitance for the top end roll off. But then in the 2000s, we get all these boutique cables that give you all the high end possible out there, and some of those cables I find actually kind of jarring. Plug them in, you're just like, whoa.
I actually think
there's way too much top end.
That's a good unpopular opinion. I think sometimes the expensive premium cables they're not as fun to play as the muddy cheap ones. I don't know.
I'm gonna add that to the list.
I'm gonna add that. You're adding that to the list. But and that's what I.
But so these days you can buy coily cables both types. So there's the ones that are still going to be like the old ones that roll off all the top end, but you can also get coily cables that are modern style cables. But
even then, like even if it's a modern one, you're getting like 20, because I was gonna, you're getting 20 feet, 20 something feet.
I'm guessing based on the whole vibe.
This is going to be a pretty high end.
Well, I was going to say it's more of a vintage one.
Yeah, well, you think so?
The vintage tones and stuff.
Oh man, I like the aesthetic of a coily cable. They're like old telephone cables. Mine cuts off the high end, and I actually really like what it does. Albert Collins, he would have a 100-foot cable instead of having.
Is he the one that had it on the reel?
I think he had it on a reel. And so if you don't want to do that, just get like a 10-foot coily cable. There's your 100 feet right there.
Absolutely.
But okay, so those guitars are great. The pickups. Is
the mini humbuckers.
The mini humbuckers, and there's
one that you really dig for sure.
There's two kinds of mini humbuckers. When people say mini humbuckers, there's
two kinds.
There's the mini, like the Firebird style, right?
Okay.
Which does not have the poles exposed, and they're actually kind of like a side. The design's different. There's kind of like a sidewinder, and then there's like that we bought the Epiphone company, and we need to put humbuckers in P90 cabinets. So the ones that actually just look like a mini humbucker with the row, they're quite different in construction. So with those pickups, they're actually quite bright. They're quite like, I think this guitar was kind of designed to be the Jaguar, the killer. That was kind of what they were going for. And so actually it's jarring how like that bridge pickup is you need that coily cable.
Yeah, maybe that's the perfect match right there.
They are wonderful, wonderful sounding pickups. They have so much clarity and so much it's so much spank, but it's humbucking, and It's a little bit fatter. You know, in a way, it's kind of, I would say, Gretschy in a way, kind of like the.
Yep, I can see that. Yeah, totally.
In that kind of like a flatness response, or a Kunife. Was that with Kunife?
Oh, the Kunife, yeah. The wide range humbuckers.
Yeah, kind of in that vein. And they're brilliant. And those guitars are just so fun to play. Hard to stick in a case, though.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique shape, and that headstock.
Oh,
looks like that one's maybe got the banjo tuners on it.
Yeah,
too.
I think they both do.
Both got
Look
the banjo
they
tuners.
both have. There's not a tuner in sight. Look at that. And then
such a cool looking guitar.
I wonder, have you ever experienced the whammy on those things? What's your tuning stability like on those?
I feel like it's fairly limited. Yeah, you're gonna do little shakes on those, not too much else. It's basically like a bent over piece of metal.
That is,
and that's it.
It's a wonderful rock and roll rig. Got some cut, got some sizzle. Yeah. I hope he has that delay set to slap back, because that's what I would do. I would slap back
with that rig. I think so for sure.
Get that really going. Get those like little keef tones. He has the E strings on there though, so I don't know about that.
There you go. Awesome. Well, thanks, Robert, for sending that in.
Thank you. That was awesome. I love that.
Such a cool rig.
Super cool.
Was a ton of fun. And that brings us pretty much to the end of the show. We need a Tube Screamer of the Day to close things out.
Tube Screamer of the Day, yes.
We didn't pick one.
Every episode, we pick a different Tube Screamer clone, and we're going to try to see if we run out of Tube Screamer clones before we run out of episodes of this show. So we're going to have to pull one out of, pull a thing out of our hat. Name one.
I'm going to go with Bad Monkey.
Wait, is that a Tube Screamer clone?
Yeah.
Is that? I thought people compare it to a Tube Screamer. Is it a Tube Screamer clone?
Isn't it?
Is it? Look it up. I don't know if it's green. Okay, it's green. And does it say Tube Overdrive? Yeah. Okay. Well, no, it is a two knob EQ. Oh, what's the deal with the Bad Monkey? On YouTube,
TS9, TS10.
Brief history. Yeah, it's a Tube Screamer. Yeah, it's a Tube Screamer stuff.
It's in there for sure.
Of course. Okay, you know what?
The Digitech pedal.
I've never played it.
I've played it. It's nothing remarkable, and it's one of those ones that nobody wanted. It was Digitech, and people were like, this thing's garbage. You could buy them for $20, $30, $40, and then JHS did this video talking about it, and all of a sudden now people are selling for $300.
Fantastic. I love it. God bless him.
So it's a bit of a meme Tube Screamer copy, I think.
Was it? I remember there was another guitar shop in Vancouver, Rupa's Guitar Shop, and they would have, was it Digitech pedals or Dodd? I remember like they would have all these old Dodd pedals and had like this huge backlog of them used, and they would just stack them in a row on the bottom shelf. This is probably before you were there, but it was like this high of just Dodd pedals or Digitech pedals just in a row.
Well, there was a while where you couldn't give away Digitech pedals.
Oh, man, I'm pretty sure there were like 7 Bad Monkeys in that pile. That was amazing. But yeah, I've never played one. Is that there's 2 outputs on that thing? What is going on? That says output 2.
Output 2 to a mixer.
Wow.
Weird.
I gotta find myself one of these pedals. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Well, you're gonna pay way too much money for one now.
For my wet dry rig?
Yeah. Well, you could use it as a tuner out, but there you are.
Well, that's it. Digitech Bad Monkey. That means we made it to the end of another episode of Big Shiny Tones. Check us out every Thursdays. Oh my goodness. Here at Tapestry Music.
Got it on the YouTube there. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts now, even SoundCloud as well. So all kinds of ways that you can watch and or listen to the show. Make sure you send us your rig for Rigs on Trial, and if you got any debate topics, send us that for the unpopular opinion. And that wraps up this episode. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And we'll
see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Cheers.
You went for it. No, what? We haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
So we're still fresh. Well, we did it, buddy.